Hello, American federal government. Welcome to chapter 1. And in this chapter, it's talking about the citizen and the government. And as I'm looking over the chapter and I'm reading here, and it says that only like 42% of people in the world, 40% of people living in the world, can be said to live in a constitutional democracy. And that's one of the reasons this class is so important, as I stressed in the introductory video, because I think sometimes we take for granted this system that we have, when actually the democracies that we live under with individual freedom is a relatively recent phenomenon and is under constant threat. It was under constant threat during the age of fascism and Mussolini and Hitler and World War II. I mean, that's what that was about. And certainly Putin and Russia would like to undermine, and they do everything they can to try to undermine our constitutional democracy. So by no means is this guaranteed, but sometimes I think Americans kind of take it for granted. It's also been really frightening because your book describes different types of government in the first chapter, but it's been really frightening. So many Americans are willing to turn to authoritarianism, and that just shows to me that they have a really lack of knowledge about the importance of our constitutional government. As I mentioned, even former President Trump had mentioned we needed to suspend the Constitution, which was just insane, because I don't think we've ever had a president or former president would ever suggest such a thing, because the Constitution is our basis of all our laws, which you'll find more about that in the next chapter when we study the Constitution. But this chapter is talking about how citizenship is based on political knowledge and participation. And voting is your power. Participation, it's not just people say, oh, it's my right, it's my right. It's your duty to get out and vote. And at no time is this more important than now. 2024 is an election year, and I'm speaking to you on Monday when the first votes for president in 2024 will happen tonight in Iowa, in the Republican caucuses in Iowa. I hope you're keeping up with that. And it's important in this class, but it's important as an American citizen that you stay informed and keep up with it. Throughout the semester, I'm going to have a lot of students that will be like, feel jaded about politics and be like, oh, it's all corrupt. I don't want you to ever feel cynical like that, because if you do, then you won't participate. And that's exactly what people who want to take power from you want. So many groups, from women to African Americans and others, have had to work so hard to get the right to vote because it's for so long been taken away. And why has it been taken away? Because they want to keep people from having that power that is so important. Chapter 1 talks about how American identity has changed over time. There is a lot of history in chapter 1. There's a lot there about increasing ethnic diversity, and that's related to your discussion board post this week, because it talks about how e pluribus unum is our national motto, out of many one, and it's really a reference to the fact that that is a unique part of what it means to be an American, is that we are not tied to any one ethnicity or any one religion. There are people that would like to, who believe that that's the way it is, and it's not. It's never been that way. But rather we align ourselves with the Constitution. We the people is the first 3 words of the Constitution. We agree by those set of principles. And so that's a lot about what is referenced in that discussion post and in the history in the back, the history of it. That book talks about, race and ethnicity, and America is changing ethnically. That's no surprise. That's the way it's always been since this country had begun, because we are a nation of immigrants. Unless you're 100% Native American, we are a nation of immigrants. And a lot of people are frightened by the change. and they'll refer to something called the Great Replacement Theory, which was really rooted in that's really rooted in racism. The Great Replacement Theory, like, oh, these ethnic groups are going to come replace white people. I'll never forget, I was teaching class years and years ago, and I said that by the year 2030 or 2040, America will become, that Caucasian European will be a minority. And a student was shocked by it. And she was a really great student, nice student, everything. She just had kind of an instinctive reaction. She just looked at me and she said, "What are we gonna do?" And I laughed and like, oh no, because nothing. It's okay. That doesn't matter, because that's not what being American is. Everyone is American, whether you're black or white, Hispanic, or Asian, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Hindu. That doesn't define what being an American is, and so that is certainly not something. I think it's just a misunderstanding that people don't understand, and they want to tie America with one ethnicity, usually white, and they want to tie it with one religion, which is usually Christianity. And you'll find out in the next chapter that that's not true. So that's important as well, and the book is kind of goes into that as well. So chapter 1 is also talking about how America was built on liberty, equality, and democracy. Those are fundamental principles of American democracy. Liberty, equality, and democracy, though, especially liberty, equality, these terms can be defined in different ways by different people, but we agree to those things, and no time is that more important, again, than now, when a lot of times it seems like people are okay with restricting some of these freedoms, or people don't embrace equality. And equality doesn't, I mean, people think of equality, I think a lot of times they think racial equality, but it also today encompasses LGBT and other groups, and that is what distinguishes us. So, for example, look in the world where gay and lesbians do not have rights, where they actually could be thrown in jail. And up until 2000, it was criminal to be gay in this country, in many states. You'll learn about that later. But look at places. It's Russia, it's Saudi Arabia, it's Iran, it's China. Those are places where they have no rights because they deny people their basic freedoms. And the places where they are given rights and equality are what we typically refer to as the West. And they're countries that value democracy, constitution, equality, those things. And again, I especially hear people attacking trans and groups like that, and it's like, but that's what America is. America is freedom. So it's frightening when people are so quick to try to deny freedom to other groups, especially marginalized groups and things like that. And we still are combating issues regarding race, because there's even been, in Charlottesville, white nationalists and things like that. So my experience is that we continue to have to struggle with these things. This chapter is just introducing you to these basic American values, which it's a good way to remind us why they're so important. And it also discusses a lot of how government definitely impacts our daily lives, but you must stay involved in it. Most of you are young. Some of you are concurrent in high school. Some of you just starting college. This is what you need to work on for the rest of your life if we are to preserve our freedom and our democracy, lest we lose it. So that's chapter 1, and be back next week to introduce you to chapter 2. Thanks.